Hi, everyone. This is Ev Zervadakis, and we're going to continue with our 2023 predictions. I like to break it down into smaller videos because we have a lot of planets to look at. And what I do is I look at the slower moving planets first because they impact us the most. And then I'm also going to give you some highlights as to my philosophy, what kind of a astrologer I am, and how I weave my philosophy of law of attraction and free will into my practice of astrology. There are so many astrologers out there that have their own view. So it is a predictive tool, but I just want to share with you that you have the power to take this knowledge of the planetary influences and make your life a better place. So I'm going to share with you a screen. So I will pause this for a second as I'm learning. So in part one, we talked mainly about Pluto, and with this big red arrow, this is where Pluto is right now. It takes 248 days to go all around the zodiac, all around here, and it affects us very profoundly because it stays in that degree for a long time. And it moves about through a sign. It takes about 20 years. So, we could look at astrology as future influences, planetary influences. So why are you looking at these charts? Sometimes I listen to all the different astrologers out there, and in all honesty, you're listening for 30 minutes, a half hour, an hour, and all of a sudden you're getting dizzy. But the thing is, they're giving you their subjective opinions as to how the energy is going to influence you or the world. Okay. So what I'd like to do is tell you, yes, for sure, this is the fate of the astrology. We cannot change the planetary positions, and we cannot change your natal chart position. That is a fact. But what we can change, and this is where free will comes in, we can change your reactions. You could look at this and say, hey, I've got all this information here as far as where the planets are, where they're going, how they're going to collectively influence with their energies the 8 billion people on the planet. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to predict that because there's so many other people doing a great job doing that. So keep following those people. What I want you to do is learn from me how to look at the planets and apply them to your daily life. How can you use astrology to help you every day in life? Because that's kind of what I came up with in my life, studying this well over 50 years. Okay. And now I'm bringing it to you to teach you how to maneuver the chart and how to learn from it. So one of my other big philosophies, and there's some people that I follow that are my contemporaries, and we share the same belief, is the law of attraction. So where energy goes, or where attention goes, energy flows. So if you have your attention on Mercury retrograde is going to beat my ass and I'm going to have so many problems, you will. You definitely will. So there's no sense attracting this doom and gloom attitude, victimization attitude, which is all Pisces and Neptune. We got enough of that going on, by the way. However, what you can control is your reaction to it. So I'm going to teach you ways that you can use your law of attraction, your affirmations, and to keep your life in bliss, and teach you how to use your energies. Because when you know what the fixed energies are that you cannot change, then you could prepare you could plan, you could clarify, and you could go with the flow. And just, if like right now we're in a Mercury retrograde, and I had some snafus, but you know what? It's part of life. Astrology reminds you, number one, that you came into this world, and number two, that you're going to exit out. And unfortunately, we haven't been talking enough about that, but maybe we will, starting with Pluto and Aquarius. It will fit that energy. But the invisible world is here, and we're starting finally to acknowledge it and not be controlled by authoritative, that Capricorn energy with Pluto. It's shaking it up. So let's move forward, and I'm going to take glances at my notes because we got a lot to cover today. And we're going to look at the planets that are ingressing. What does that mean? That means that they're changing signs, going into a new sign. So whenever a planet goes into a new sign, it's a big deal because it's changing energies. So if you go around the wheel, like right here on this, we have Taurus, which is the earth energy fixed. Okay. It's all about comfort, security. They don't want to change things. And then the next sign is air. So now it becomes light, airy, intellectual, not physical. Okay. And then the next one after that is Leo, fire, and that's then it's Cancer. And then after that, which is water and cardinal, so, and then we go into fire, and it just cycles around, because that way life is balanced with all these energies. That's why astrology is so cool. And if you want, give me a little comment underneath and let me know what you think is the coolest thing about astrology. I mean, we could talk about that on a live that will be coming up soon. I'll let you know. Just getting all our ducks in a row. So just remember that the chart has motion, everything cycles, planets change into signs. And that's why I'm going to tell you, as we're going from one planet like Pluto, 248 years, staying in one little sign, for 20 years. And that varies because it's a elliptical orbit. So it's not exactly 20 years every time. And so what we're going to talk about next, I want to talk about the Saturn in Pisces, because in March, it's going to ingress into March 8th, to be exact. It's going to go into, see, right now we're 25 degrees Aquarius, and then it's going to go into Pisces. Well, this is not a very comfortable place for Saturn, because Saturn's all about hard work. It's all about the material world, reality, structure. So if we move this to March, it'll be more accurate. And you could see that Saturn is now into Pisces. So it's going to be in that sign for 2.5 years. And Pisces is a water sign. So you know what that means. Emotions. And Pisces is the most unstable water sign because it is gas. It is steam. It's vapor. So it, like water goes through your hands, but you can't contain it. It's hard to contain that Pisces energy, and it's ruled by Neptune. So that's also a very important factor. So and as a side note, Neptune will remain in Pisces for the whole year. It's going to stay there, but it will retrograde July 1st. All right. And then it will stay in retrograde until December 25th. So that's just, I'm telling you this so you could get a feel for the energies. They go back and forth. And remember, because right now we're in a Mercury retrograde. So remember, whenever there's a retrograde, it means that it's time to reflect, review, you might have to redo. So the energy's going in. Whenever there's a retrograde, the energy's going in, any planet. So whatever kind of energy, so if it's Neptune spiritual, it means it's going in, all right? So Saturn, right now, we're talking about the Saturn going into Pisces. And we're gonna have some issues, you know? What kind of issues? I don't know, but you may as well look at your chart and see where this is going to affect you personally. That's the cool thing about having your own natal astrology chart and then looking at these transits. These are transits. And by the way, you could do solar arcs, and it's the same way. You look at the planets and you look at how they relate to you personally. So you would look at the signs and you would look at the houses. So these are the signs over here. The houses are here divided. So the signs are, 30 degrees here, and the houses are not always 30 degrees. And then you look at all these lines. These are geometrical relationships between other planets, signs, and points. Okay. So if it's red, usually it means it will be tougher. It'll be a hard aspect. And blue means that opportunities, flows, things will just come to you. So it is a science, and there's a lot to look at. And to prepare for these videos, it takes a while. So I like to look at the whole picture, and always keep in mind that these planets, transits, will affect the 8 billion people on the planet. But you want to see how they're going to affect you. You look at how it relates to your natal chart. So Saturn is all about responsibility, duty, the work. It's lessons that you learn from some of these hardships. It also could mean fear. All right. So, it's back to the law of attraction. If you want to believe that the world's coming to an end, then go ahead and believe it. I can't stop you, but I'm not subscribing to that. If you know how many times I heard in my life that the world is coming to an end, I just shake my head. But you do what you want. It's free will. But the planets, Saturn working with Pisces, it's showing some responsibilities, and maybe in spirituality, because Pisces is all about spirituality. It's also about being alone. Well, how about this? Working alone behind the scenes. Do you know how many businesses are on the internet? They don't even have office space. What does that mean? Think about that. A lot of businesses, the brick and mortar businesses, they're closing down because, we don't have to go to the stores as much as we used to. We could just go online and order everything. Is that a bad thing? We have to embrace the reality of change. So whenever there's an ingress, that's a change. All right. And these planets are always moving, which means there's always change going on. So part of your success is understanding that we have change coming along. Okay. So I hope you got the flavor of the Saturn. 2.5 years in the sign. And it also, it dissolves structure. And maybe that's what we needed. And also when you hear these astrologers giving predictions, and a lot of them are really good predictions. I like the ones that will tell you the last time there was a cycle like this is what happened, with the depression and this and that. That's interesting to factor in, but don't let it dictate how it's going to affect your life. And as we talk about the depression, remember, a lot of millionaires were made during the depression as well. because if you're innovative, which is Aquarius, if you're innovative, then, you could, if you're the first to say, you know what, let's solve the problem this way, and people embrace your idea and they purchase products or ideas or services from you, you win. So the longer you stay in that resistance mode where I'm not going to change, this is all terrible, and these politicians and things that are out of our control, let it go. If they're out of your control, let it be. But if you can control your reactions and control all that you can. Now, the next thing that you want to look at is we're going to look at Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is going to change its energy twice this whole year because it moves quicker. Jupiter ingresses into, where am I here? Let me get to my second page. Yeah, it goes around the whole chart, like all around here in 12 years. So right here in April, it's at 19 degrees, but in the beginning of the year, Jupiter started in Aries, okay? So it's a new beginning. Aries is always, think of springtime when you think of Aries. You know how that seed sprouts out? That takes a lot of energy. So there's a lot of action, a lot of energy, new beginnings. It also could be aggression, and it's a fire sign. So fire signs are enthusiastic, optimistic, positive, and they move forward. They're quick too. Fire's very quick and very changeable, because it destroys too what's necessary. So it's also weapons. So, some people, oh yeah, last time we had Jupiter and Aries, there were wars and this and that. It could, think about it. Every time I turn around, there's some war. I don't know why we have war on the planet. It really bothers me. I don't like war. I don't like aggression, but that's just me. So I'm going to tell you the energy of Jupiter is expansive. Just think of a bubbling, you ever put baking soda inside vinegar, and all of a sudden it just starts bubbling up, and then Jupiter is gaseous. So it's like a balloon getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's a great manifesting planet too. In the old days, they used to call it a benevolent planet because it brings you good luck. Well, if you look at your natal chart and you see that it's going across your ascendant, which is right here, your ascendant, that might mean that you might gain weight or become a bigger personality. If it goes over your career line over here, that could mean that it will, you're going to have abundance with your career, your social status. You'll be a bigger person. So that's kind of the way it works. So let's see if you could make these energies of Jupiter going into Aries and how they're going to affect you on your natal chart. See how that works out for you. And don't forget, it will go through 2 signs this year. So it's going to go through Aries. And then, let me see here. We're also going to go into Taurus. All right. So May 17th, now Jupiter is going to be in Taurus. So let's go into May. I'll go into June to make it easier. Right here, May 17th. So now Taurus has gone into Jupiter has gone into Taurus, excuse me. So now it's not fire, it's earth. Ooh, heavy. Now it's about comfort. It's not about you individually. It's not about your independence. Now it's about all the things, your resources, and what makes you feel good. It's about feelings. Taurus is all feeling, and and then it's of the earth, things that you could touch, money. So this is where it brings money into the chart, and look and see. And as a side note, we got the North Node that's conjunct on that particular day. And so that will be a purpose, it will show purpose. So Jupiter, and then, you could always apply the aspects. Is it hitting on your personal planets through a conjunction, which is nearby within so many degrees, or is it opposing, or is it trine, which is a flow? All these factors, lots of layers when you look at astrology. So I'm only trying to impress upon you that astrology can be as complicated as you want it or as simple as you want it. But if you try to be too simple, it's because right now I'm only talking about Jupiter, but we have to remember all these other planets are doing things. So that's why I started from the big going down. And I'm not even going to talk about the personal planets, because they move so quickly that it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not a yearly thing. So that's more of a monthly thing, because the personal planets move about one sign per month. Okay. And I'll be doing another video. Keep your eyes open. I try to put them out once a week. Except for the shorts, I could do them every day, because I take the TikTok material for those people that don't have TikTok, and I upload them into the shorts. They're very popular on my channel. So I thank you again. If you haven't subscribed and you like what you're hearing, go ahead and do that, because I'm more random than I am a planner. I'm sorry. You can look at my chart and judge me for it, but I'm doing the best I can. But I just want you to understand the mechanics of astrology. I just think it's the most fascinating thing. I love astrology, and tell me how you feel about astrology. And for the minority, once in a blue moon, I'll get somebody that will be nasty, that, nasty. And you know what? I send them blessings, because that's the beauty about free speech, and free will. I could say whatever I want. And if you want to say something and you want to be negative, just remember, what you put out there is what you're going to get. So that's just one of my things on my soapbox. Let's not be negative. Let's not be judgmental. Let's take the high road, guys. If you're going to follow me, that's what I preach. Take the high road. Look at the beautiful things in life. Focus on that. Focus on your abundance. Focus on the energies of the planets and how you're going to make these energies positive, because you're prepared now. You know what the energies are for the year as you're learning. Okay. So we're going to have Jupiter expansive. So, if it's in strong angles in your chart, that means abundance. It could mean abundance in your career if it's up here. It could mean a bigger house down here. It could mean lots of relationships, one-on-one relationships, or it could mean you become a bigger person. Okay. So if you have any questions, I love questions. I do reply to all of them, not always within 24 to 48 hours, because sometimes I don't see it in time based on my schedule. So I thank you again for being part of this channel. And I hope you do enjoy the journey of astrology. And I'm here for you. That's the main thing. That's my purpose now. I'm done raising my family. And my number one focus is you guys and the whole world. I would love to see everyone have a chart in their hand and be able to look at that chart and say, just like cooking, you could say, oh, today is going to be this kind of a day, and put your positive spin on it. Every day when you wake up, you should say, it's going to be a great day. Doesn't matter if it's a Mercury retrograde. Use that energy, reflect, think about, oh, what can I do? What can I do better? It's a reflective type energy. All right. So I find people that have a lot of problems with a Mercury retrograde are the people that are not reflecting, that are not slowing down, that instead of going inward, they're pushing outward. That's just the way I see it in all my years of experience. So go with the flow, you guys. So let's see now. In September, yeah, we're going to have a retrograde in Jupiter as well, till the end of the year. So it's going to go from 0 to 15 degrees for the year. So check that out on your chart. Now the next thing that I want to look at is my notes. Here we go. So Uranus is going to continue to stay in the earth sign of Taurus. So what does that mean? Uranus energy, I like to, visualize it's a lightning bolt, but it's also innovation. Like you get these great ideas. Uranus is a higher energy of Mercury. So it's like really big ideas, change, shocking and innovative and scientific. And, the symbol of it, here it is right here. The symbol is, it kind of looks like an antenna. So people with strong Uranus influences have, they could channel. They're very psychic because they channel from, I don't know where, I don't care. But basically it's a channeling energy. So pay attention to that. And Uranus does go retrograde too. The slower the planets go in their cycle. Oh yeah, let me tell you how many years. Uranus is an 84-year cycle. So if you want to see how long it stays in the sign, you could divide it by 12, and that will tell you how many years. So it takes like this, Uranus is going to be there from in the sign of Taurus for the year between 15 to 19 degrees. So it doesn't move very fast. Now, what's important is if Uranus between 15 and 19 degrees, and if it touches your planets within a degree, because when I work with transits, I like to work within 1 degree. And if you work with solar arcs, that's a really great timing tool, but we'll talk about that at another time. By the way, if you're interested in learning astrology from me, you could go on the website, Holistic Healing Astrology, and get on the wait list because they do fill up fast. I try to keep the numbers low, and it is live. So you can, at the end of the session, you could ask me questions. It's not one of these programs where you see me in the corner and it's already pre-recorded. This is live. So I just love that. And sometimes, I might skip something and now you're going to be stuck and it won't make sense and you can't move forward. So with learning astrology, it's best to do it with a live teacher. That's just how I learned myself, and whether it's online or locally. And we will be doing some spectacular events with a beautiful venue in town in Virginia Beach that will host the whole day, 8 hours, and you get a meal. It's very elegant, and that will be at a great price point too. But that's if you want to decode your chart right, like all at one time. You take one day off, you come to beautiful sunny Virginia Beach with the ocean, and you spend one day learning your chart. You will be a changed person. Trust me when I tell you. So getting back, I didn't mean to make a commercial, but if I don't tell you, I might forget. So here we go. So Aquarius is the sign that belongs with and works together with Uranus. So again, see, we have echoing. And whenever you look at the natural wheel in the 11th house would be Aquarius and Uranus. And they're kind of similar energies. So if you learn the natural wheel, you shave off some learning time because they're similar energies. So you have this shaking. All right. Now, some people could say, oh, Earth, Taurus, shaking. Oh, we're going to have more earthquakes. Well, I have this little earthquake app that I always love to look at, especially when I'm in Greece, because there are earthquakes there all the time. And if you know about the Ring of Fire in Japan and Alaska, California, there's a lot of activity there. So, saying that we're going to have a lot of earthquakes, yeah, but I think it depends on the locality. So, and also, how is that going to affect you? Remember, I'm going to say this over and over. You're going to get sick of hearing me saying it over and over, but that's part of the learning process. If you want to learn astrology, it's repetitive. So let's say here we have Saturn on this bold line. Well, that's a really strong point. And like I said, when I work with transits, I like to work within a degree. That's all. So you don't get too confused. And now, you might feel it. Now, some people say to me, well, I didn't feel that influence. How come? That's why I don't like to make these negative predictions, especially with my clients, because it's a probability. Excuse me, astrology charts are nothing more, than probabilities. Okay? So, that's very important. Probabilities. So that's why you can't take this 100%. That's why you have a little bit of free will all the time. All right. And remember, law of attraction is always at work. So we did that. And then we did the Uranus in the earth sign of Taurus, 15 to 19 degrees this year. Now Neptune is going to stay in its own rulership sign of Pisces, and Neptune is the water. It's deep, where you look down into the water, you can't see anything. It's unlike Pluto energy. This is more elusive. It's more godlike. You're connected with the spiritual. It's mystical, not so much mysterious. Pluto's more mysterious, but we're going into the ice. It's a place where you're isolated and you're by yourself. You're alone with Neptune, and you commune with your higher self, with God, your soul, and that's very important, that you get the little nuances that are different over here. And here's Neptune in Pisces. So it's going to stay there. And Neptune also dissolves. It also represents oil, like crude oil, but it dissolves. So it's meditation too. It's escape. It's victimhood. So anything that can help you escape, alcohol, drugs, okay? It's all in Pisces. And you notice the CBD oil, and it's been in Pisces, I think, since 2008, if I remember correctly. All right. And it's going to stay there, I think, for another year or two. So we got that CBD oil. It's mushrooms. Everybody's talking about that altered state. But I also believe too that there's a lot more mental telepathy as well. Okay. That's just part of the whole picture, because we got to put in the Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, Pluto going into Aquarius this year, Neptune staying there in Pisces to kind of, keep us a little confused. Because sometimes, and it softens things up, Neptune will soften up the hard blows. So that's that. Now, the nodes are going to go change signs in July. So the thing about the nodes is they always work in pairs, exact opposites. So the north node looks like the ear, the ear headsets, and this is the south node. They're always opposite. South node is the tail, the dragon tail, or what's familiar to you, could be past life, whatever you want to believe. And then this is your purpose right here, what is not so familiar, but what you're stretched to do. And that is these are very powerful points in the chart. You can't neglect them. Okay. So they're going to move from water and go into fire. So there's going to be a lot more enthusiasm, a lot more activity, because it's going to go into Aries. So I hope you've enjoyed that part. And then we have to talk about Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is right here, January 8th, which will be in a couple of days. And let's go back a couple of months here. And January, so we're here for the 1st, January 8th, and this is how you use a program. You change it and we'll go to the 8th. And if you could see that small, here it is, January 8th. And here we have Black Moon Lilith. I love working with Black Moon Lilith. She goes, her cycle's about 50 years a cycle, and it has moved into Leo. Okay. Then there's one thing I need to talk about. I'm going to just pause on that thought with Black Moon Lilith. Whenever planets go, especially the slower moving ones, the more powerful ones, when they go and change directions, like going forward, direct, and then going retrograde, which is reverse. Think about it. If you're going down the highway 80 miles an hour, you can't just slam on reverse and go backwards. You're going to ruin your transmission. Well, how the planets do it is they slow down. So the slower moving the planet, the longer the station or that slow down period is. They slow down, they stop, and then they reverse. So that slowing down period is called a station, and it will literally be in that same degree for up to weeks. All right. Especially when I told you about Neptune is going to go in July, July 1st, it's going to change and go retrograde, but it also stations for weeks in June. And why am I telling you that? Because when a planet stations, it has intense energy. Think of holding a wild horse stallion in one place, and they just want to bolt. Think of that planet, that mass of energy, and, switching in a different direction. Does it actually do that? No, it's more symbolic, but it represents force, energy, and then you apply that to your natal chart. And if it is hitting on one of your planets or one of your strong points in your chart, then pay attention and see how that energy is going to influence you. Not that it's going to do anything to you, but just pay attention how it influences you. So I'm sorry that we've gone on a little longer than expected, but I really wanted to get this off my plate today. So Black Moon Lilith is going to ingress twice because it's a 50-year cycle. So she's going from a water sign to fire, and then from fire to earth. And so January 8th, Black Moon Lilith will go into Leo. Let's break it down. Black Moon Lilith is the dark side, the hidden side of a personality. It's also the very strong, powerful, I don't give a damn, I'm doing it, the obnoxious side of a personality. They say it's like looking at all the outer planets, which would be Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and blending it together. It rules, areas of concern like human trafficking, prostitution, because people that do that kind of stuff, whether it's right or wrong, I'm not judging. What I'm saying is it takes a lot of guts to do that kind of activity, you know, for people to be the ringleader of human trafficking or to actually be a prostitute, that kind of thing. It's, you know, you're kind of selfless because, you know, you're not really loving every person that you're with. And when, you know, human trafficking is slavery, you know, and it still goes on. So is it ever gonna not go on? I don't know. But the point is, Black Moon Lilith represents that. But there's also something very positive about Black Moon Lilith, and I want to give you this example. So, you know, it's a feminine side, but it's the very strong feminine energy in the chart. So, you know, you hear about these stories where they have superhero strengths. Women will pick up a car because their kid was underneath the car and they had to save their life. You know, that kind of selfless activity. But it could be dark and it could be bright. Just always remember, every planet has a bright side and a dark side. It's just the way it is. It's the yin and the yang of the world. So October 3rd will be the second ingress. Oh, sorry. And October 3rd is going to be the second ingress where this energy goes into Virgo. So Leo represents the king. It's the king of the zodiac. It's a fire sign. It's warmth. The Leo energy is, it makes you feel comfortable, warm. There's a lot of leisure. So the queen is in the lap of luxury, you know. Their home is like their castle. And but when they roar, you know, you're going to hear it because they have great leadership styles. Leo is that positive type energy. And it's also dealing with beautiful things and luxurious things. All right, a lot of warmth. And we could talk a lot more about Leo, but I want to also tell you it's a fixed sign. So, you know, fire, fixed. I think of fire in the fireplace. How does that make you feel? You know, Leos are very charismatic and they always make people feel good. They're very generous and, you know, rich. So think about rich food and the rich life. Okay. So then in October, when it goes into the second ingress, second change, now there's going to be a change of energy. It'll be more practical because we're going into Virgo. Virgo is not so, oh, warm and fuzzy. It is more down to earth, practical, and we don't have to be so extravagant. You know, we don't have to spend all this money on the linen and the tablecloth. Let's just, you know, we got a table, let's use our everyday stuff. And they're more interested in the details and organization. So you see how the energy kind of moves, you know, the signs give you those characteristics. So, you know, we can't have a rich diet all the time, you know. And Virgo also represents health and wellness. So with this health and wellness, you know, yeah, after, you know, so much time, 8 months or whatever, in enjoying the rich life, now you got to like cut back, go on a diet, you know, are you exercising? That you see how things go up and down, different energies. It's like this big old tapestry. And then, you know, you see how that relates in your chart. So we could move it forward, but I think you get the message how this stuff moves. All right. And if you have any questions, please write them down into the comment and I will answer them. Share these videos if you think someone else would benefit from it. So that's all for me right now. I just want to thank you for your indulgence. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and following. It's just a joy, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye. All the best to you.